Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, in Wonderland. Today, we're having a cup of coffee with Socrates, the man, the myth, the philosopher. If you've been around long enough, you know I love these coffee with my people episodes. And honestly, if anyone deserves a seat at this imaginary coffee table, it's Socrates. I see him as one of the founding fathers of this podcast, not just because he's one of the greatest thinkers in history, but because his approach to life, learning, and questioning is so timeless and practical. So, grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into the curious, rebellious, and slightly mischievous world of Socrates. Socrates was born around 469 BCE in Athens, in a humble, working class family. His father was a stonemason and his mother was a midwife. Athens at the time was a booming center of art, philosophy, and politics. So, young Socrates grew up in an environment filled with ideas. But unlike most philosophers of his time, he wasn't interested in explaining the universe, the stars, or the nature of the water. Instead, he wanted to know, what does it mean to be a good person? What is truth? How should we live our lives? And instead of writing books about these questions, he went straight to the streets of Athens, talking to people, asking questions, and whether intentionally or not, annoying a lot of them in the process. Socrates had a unique way of teaching without teaching. He never claimed to have the answers. Instead, he would ask you questions until you either had an existential crisis or changed your entire worldview. Picture this. You're at the market just trying to buy some apples, and suddenly Socrates pops up like, "Oh, my friend, what is justice? What is virtue? What is love?" And there goes your afternoon. People in Athens both admired and feared him because he had this talent for exposing ignorance, especially in people who thought they were the smartest in the room. This method, later known as the Socratic Method, is still used today in law schools, therapy, and even coaching. So, how does it work? First, you think you know something. And then comes Socrates asking you a deceptively simple question. Then you start explaining. More questions follow. You contradict yourself. You realize you don't actually know what you thought you knew. You start questioning everything about life. This approach made Socrates famous and also made a lot of people very uncomfortable. At that time, Athens was a democracy, and Socrates, well, he wasn't a fan. He believed that not everyone should have an equal vote, that only the most wise, knowledgeable, and capable people should be making important decisions. He argued that you wouldn't let just anyone perform surgery, build a house, or captain a ship, so why would you let just anyone run a government? To be fair, he wasn't against people, he was against ignorance. But still, saying things like this in a democratic society, not a great survival strategy. Eventually, Socrates was accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. Translation: he was making people think too much, and that was dangerous. Socrates was put on trial, and instead of defending himself, he basically doubled down. He didn't apologize. He didn't beg for mercy. He told the court that Athens actually needed him, that he was like a gadfly sent by the gods to keep society awake and thinking. The jury, not amused. So they sentenced him to death by drinking poison hemlock. And here is the most Socrates thing ever. He didn't resist. His friends tried to help him escape, but Socrates said, "No. If I break the law, I would contradict everything I've taught." And so, with complete calm, he drank the poison, continued philosophizing until the last moment, and left the world as the ultimate symbol of standing by your beliefs. So, what can we learn from Socrates today? Okay, so maybe we shouldn't go around annoying people at the market or getting sentenced to death for asking too many questions. But there's a lot we can take from Socrates. Here are some lessons I want to share. Question everything. Don't just accept things at face value. Think critically. Admit what you don't know. Wisdom starts with humility. Live simply. He didn't need riches or status to be happy. Be true to your values. Even in the face of pressure, he refused to compromise. Socrates believed that an unexamined life is not worth living. And maybe that's why we're here today, to examine, to explore, and to keep learning. I loved having this imaginary coffee chat with Socrates, and I hope you did too. Let me know what's one belief you've never questioned but maybe should. And do you agree with Socrates on democracy, or do you think he was way off? And if you're curious to read more, check out Plato's Apology, where he documents Socrates' famous trial. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and question everything. Bye, guys!